here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They're open for sales and service Monday through Saturday, and of course all the time online at greatlakeshondacity.com. I have a really awesome opportunity, and it makes me feel like I'm 115 years old, but I have Marcus Sales Sr. and Jr. here with me, and Marcus obviously covered him when he was at Syracuse and know of his playing days. You kind of close your eyes, you go back to those moments, and now I'm talking to Junior, which is very amazing, and like I said, also makes me feel like I'm a grandfather, which I'm not. So with that being said, we have Marcus Sales Sr. and Jr. here with me for a very special moment for father and son as we speak with the 2027 athlete going through his college football recruitment, as well as the Syracuse Orange wide receiver alum. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Good. How you doing, Dan?
We're doing great.
Doing well. So I got to talk to Junior first here. Off the air, you told me wide receiver head-to-head battle, you got Pops. What makes you feel like you can beat him?
I just put in a lot more work than he does. I just feel I'm very confident in myself, and I just feel like I'm better.
Have you watched any of your dad's film?
Oh yeah, I've watched it a lot over the years. Obviously, I want to become a great receiver like him. So
Okay, well, I'm going to talk with Marcus Sr. now. I know that obviously it never really leaves you, right? You might not be playing, but you're still with it. And if you have a child in the game, I feel like even more so you're still in the game itself. So if I put you on the field right now, do you think you could still show your son something out there?
Absolutely. I think I got one or two plays still left in me, and then after that, I'm done.
You in your prime versus what you've seen out of your son, what would you say?
I don't know. He a little bit faster than I was, but I'm a little bit more craftier than him, so it'll be a good matchup.
Marcus Jr., your hairstyle different than Pops.
yeah,
Tell me about the hairstyle and there's always people that'll say to me, they're like, how do you get all that hair under the helmet? And obviously you do different things for game day and whatnot, but I got to ask you, where did your style come from? Because I don't know Pops to just let it run wild, so to speak. So how'd you choose this style?
honestly, like I just always wanted to have long hair. Like I've always wanted dreads,
Okay.
and he used to never let me have dreads. So the first chance I got to get him, I would just, twist my hair by myself. That's how it started off. Like it's a lot more organized than it was before. I used to just have it like everywhere.
Did he tell
And
you to like watch where they come out if you are going to have like in a game to make sure it's not coming out of the helmet because it's considered part of the uniform so they can pull it. Did he talk to you about that?
no, he's never talked to me about that. A lot of people do ask me about like how do I put my helmet on and things like that, but I usually just throw it back and put a cap on.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that people don't get. They think it looks like this under the helmet. It doesn't look like that at all. So, Pops, when did you let your son let it run wild? He said you didn't, and then you did. So, I mean, he's got a different hairstyle than you've ever had. So,
Yeah.
what made you say, all right, go ahead and do your thing?
I thought so when he got in the ninth grade, he started growing it out. And I'm like, I guess it look all right. He started taking care of it and everything. So I was like, I guess you can have it here now.
Well, and that leads me into style on the field, style off the field. Marcus Senior, how would you, as you reflect back, describe your style on the field?
I was more of like a possession receiver. I mean, I wanted the ball out during during the time when everybody was looking, you know what I mean? So I wanted to make the big play. And I feel like he's the same way as me. Like he had a real good season this past year. So right now we just focusing on trying to get him ready for the next level.
Yeah, and like you said, you were a possession guy and you wanted the ball to come to you in those moments. To Marcus Sales Jr., bring me into some of those moments. Your dad said, hey, listen, this last season, you had a great season, showed out, did what you needed to do. Is there a play or two when it was crunch time, the ball had to go somewhere, and you're in the huddle saying, throw it to me, I got this? Can you go back to a play or two?
I actually can. So we played against this team in South Carolina, this private school team called Northwood Academy, and they had a lot of like D1 guys, and they ended up going to win the state championship in South Carolina. So we were down 12 to, well, I think no, it was 12, so it was tied up, and they needed me to go make a play. I ran a slant go, and I scored, and the whole crowd went crazy, and that changed like the whole dynamic of the game.
In those moments, wanting to have the pressure on you, there's a lot of people that run from pressure. They run
Mhm.
from moments like that. They want the glory of the moment, but they don't want the pressure of the moment. Why do you want the pressure and not just the glory?
So I want the pressure because it just goes back to all the training and all the work I put in, all the hours and the time like I put into the sport, not just like on the field, but watching film and when you're confident in your ability, like you want that moment, those moments like that to where you can just go and make that play and then be like all the work that you put in is paying off.
Well, and I'll keep with you to Marcus Sales Jr. and then to Pops here. Confidence. It's something that you can't just wake up and have. You have to work at it every single day. To Marcus Sales Jr., where does that confidence come from for you, and how do you make sure that it's consistently with you?
So confidence for me, it comes from just the amount of like time I put into the sport. Obviously not every day you can go and get on the field and do things that you want. But when you can go and watch film, see what you did better and all that, it just brings confidence to know like you know what you're doing and just knowing that it's just the work you put in, all the reps you put in, like it just becomes second nature.
Yeah,
So
and like you said, I mean, confidence comes from repetition. Confidence comes from the hard work and the dedication that you put into everything. And for you, there's a lot of things that they call it the iceberg, right? Where the tip of the iceberg, the stuff that what we see outside of the water of the iceberg, are those big plays. Like you said, put the ball in my hands, give me an opportunity. You went back to a place, a crowd goes wild, but they don't see the majority of the iceberg, which is underneath the water. And that's all the work, all the hours that you put in. Bring me
mhm.
into that. Like in a given day, how much work are you put like when it comes to training, film study, running routes, doing different things, cardio or, lifting and whatnot. What's a given day for you when it comes to all of the work underneath the water that nobody sees?
Okay, so in the where I'm at right now, um, like February, it's more like recruiting time.
Yeah.
So right now I'm on a meal plan. I'm waking up at 6:30 every day. Getting all the calories down. So I'm eating during school. Second period during school, I lift. We do all types of different like, strength, power and just things like that. So that's getting me ready. So right now I go to school, eat, um, work out, and then after school I usually get a little bit extra work in with my quarterback. Um, and then I usually watch film towards the end of the day.
Yeah. And for you, when you're watching film, how do you watch it? Like, what do you look for? Kind of what's your system? Everybody has a different way of kind of breaking down film. How would you describe how you see the film when you take some time with it?
Okay, so there's two ways to break down film. In my opinion, you can like watch it conceptually, which is like, you know, when you're watching it conceptually, you're watching like why the way the defense moves, why the way the offense moves, like what are they trying to accomplish? Um, what certain players are doing to make it work. And then there's watching film on people.
Yeah.
So I can watch film on, let's say, Jamar Chase. So what I'm looking at when he comes off if it's pressed, the way he comes off the ball. Is he quick? Is he trying to see what the DB's doing? Does he have to get into his route quickly? Um, and then I'm looking at his drive off the ball, and then the break at the top. The separation. That's the most important part. So I'm more looking at like the small, little details. Because when you play wide receiver, you have to have a pre-snap process, which is like you look at the safeties, you look if the corner is off or is he pressed, is he 5 yards, is he a motor guy, does he like to play catch technique? So you just have your pre-snap process, and does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I mean there was a lot of different pieces that you just spoke about, and I appreciate that. Like you said, I mean you're watching film in a couple different ways, and you're getting to know the tendencies of your opponent. Have you ever run into going up against an opponent and there was a lack of film from that school? There was maybe a lack of information, or there wasn't a lot of stuff accessible to that. I know we live in a world where digitally things are right at your fingertips, but has there ever been a time where you were getting ready for an opponent and there was less information than you were used to having? And if that be the case, how did you kind of try to get around the fact that there wasn't as much info?
Okay, so this actually did happen this season. We played this team called Metrolina Christian. They had a guy come in and play who wasn't on film, and they had a guy who sat out. So they had a new corner out there I never seen before. So my whole thought process when it comes to that is to just like try to get a read on him the first couple of plays. Like if it's a run play, I want to see how he comes off the press. See what type of is he aggressive? Is he soft press? Is he aggressive with his hands? Just trying to break him down as best as I can without any film, just
So
to see like what type of guy he is.
So you're in the moment. Some people are out there saying, okay, you hike the ball, the receiver's running the route. You're just concerned with what you're doing. You're literally in these split seconds watching while you're on the field, not simply running your route, and you're just paying attention to all of these little nuances that can help you gain an advantage throughout the game, which shows your IQ. So I'm going to go to senior for this. Is this something innate in Marcus Sales Jr. and your son? Or is this something that you had to teach him to say, hey, there's all of these things that you can be doing when you're on the line waiting for that ball to be hiked. And then when the ball is hiked, there's different things that you could do because to your credit, to Marcus Jr., you just told me, hey, I'm picking you apart and like living in the matrix while this game's going on. So to Marcus Sr., is that something that you've always seen your son do? Or did you kind of tell him like, hey, look for these little tiny things even when you're not getting the ball?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, as you play the game, you go through a little bit more different situations, and sometimes he come home from practice or he might get a look. He'd be like, "Dad, what are you thinking about this look? What do you think about this?" And once you get to the next level, you got moving safeties. You got to know if you got to go down and dig the safety out or go get the cornerback. So that's the type of stuff that we're watching for on film, and there's things that he's trying to learn and get ready for the next level. But as far as the high school level, I think he has it down right now.
Well, when you hear him say, I'm looking at these guys, I'm looking at the guy's hands, I'm looking at what he's doing, even if it's a run play, I'm looking how he attacks that. What does that mean to you, having played the game, that your son is paying attention to all these things that people typically are not thinking a wide receiver is going to pay attention if the ball's not coming his way or if it's not a pass play, that you're thinking, okay, I'm just running my route, I'm just doing my thing, I'm going through the motions, and then you hear your son say, I'm not going through any motions. I'm watching all of these things that are happening, that are developing, that I can use as my advantage. When you hear him talk about that and break that down, just what that means to you.
That just goes back to him being a student of the game and understanding what's going on, and going back to your quarterback being able to communicate on what you see out there and how the guy's reacting to you. So I think that's the maturity part of his game right there. It's not a lot of high school wide receivers that can say that that's what they're doing. You know what I mean? So I think that's where he excels at, is just being a student of the game, putting in the work on and off the field.
Oh, and that's the thing, is that there's talent all over the field. I mean, you guys both know that. But what beats the raw talent is that chess game that you're playing. And to your credit, Marcus Jr., I've talked to a lot of student athletes in high school all over. And the things you've said to me today, I'm like, wow. I mean, he's gone beyond what I am used to hearing and what I'm used to, coming out of somebody's mouth as far as what they're looking for and how they're seeing the game. So I think that's going to pay off dividends for you in the future. It's not a question, it's a statement that keep doing that, because that's NFL IQ mentality. That's not like, hey, I'm just going to go out there and hope I get the ball. So to Marcus Sr., I asked your son about confidence. Where did your confidence come from on the field, and how did you make sure that it was consistent?
My confidence came in just being around the guys on the team, and like, being around Rob Moore. He played the game for a long time. He's still coaching the game. I mean, I felt like I learned a lot from him, and after playing with him, I felt like I knew everything that I needed to know to be successful. So, like I said, he had an answer for every problem, and I try to do the same thing for my son. Everything I learned at that level, and try to get him ready to start thinking for the next level. So.
Yeah, and you said learning from Rob Moore. By the way, and I have to mention, I hope Rob can forgive me for this because I've talked to Rob before, but I'm a big fan of New Edition, which means I'm a fan of Belle Biv DeVoe.
Right.
And I was singing that song my whole child. I tell people, I was like, if you listen to the music that I listen, like if you looked at my tracks of what I was listening to, I was like a South Central Philly kid that grew up in Central New York. And going back to those New Edition Belle Biv DeVoe moments, I'm singing. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Then I get around a bunch of Rob Moore's teammates, and they're like, you know that part where they whisper, Rob Moore.
Yeah, Dan.
And I was like, wait, that's not the guy I just interviewed. They're like, no, that's Rob. So, I mean, did you ever, or did anybody ever in a practice, on the bus, on a plane, did anybody ever go like, hey, Rob, what happened? Because I'll tell you, his teammates, they bring me down memory lane and then they stop. So, like, did you ever ask him about it?
I mean, it came up in the meeting room one time, but he told us he didn't know what we were talking about, so we left that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, every time I hear it now, I'm like, Rob's a bad man. But but I also respect the heck out of him. What did you learn from Rob Moore that you have tried to trickle down to your son?
Just being able to break down a DB. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell from if his hands are down, if they're up, if he's trying to quick jam you or anything like that. Just knowing where the safeties want to be, just reading the whole defense. Actually, just so I try to just teach my son everything that I learned to make his life a little bit easier. And when he gets in the room with these college coaches, he understands what's going on, and they can see that like he's a little bit more advanced than an average high school kid. So.
And so, Marcus Jr., when you're in with the college coaches and you're having these meetings, these opportunities to talk with them, has anybody asked you to break down a play or draw up a play?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's like one of the main things. They want to make sure that you know what's going on the field. I'm very confident when it comes to that, because if I'm being honest, like I love like just like understanding like why things are happening. So I don't usually look at like play service level. I usually try to look at like, like why they trying to do this play, or why they trying to put this guy in a position. So
not everybody can break it down, right? Not everybody can hear like, hey, I want you to put this on the board. Now go draw it. Like, do you know what like if they are using terminology and telling you to do it, or if they drop a play and say, okay, how are we going to pick apart the defense with this play? Have you had coaches talk with you and say like, wow, we had 20 guys come in here and they couldn't tell us what this was, but you came in and you did it. Have you had a coach or two say to you, like, you really know these plays, or this is something that we're kind of remembering about you, that you can break down a play for us, you can draw it up on the board? Because I mean, there was guys going into the NFL draft that couldn't break down plays. So have you had coaches stop you to say like, we appreciate the fact that you know what you're doing out here?
Oh yeah, so on my last visit, I was at Buffalo, and I stayed a little after to talk to the coach, and just get to know him more. So we ended up started watching film, and he wanted me to break down a couple plays, and I could tell he was a little surprised with like how much I knew. Um, yeah.
Do you have like a favorite play of anything you've ever run in the playbook before? Is there something where you're just like, man, this is one that I circle?
Yeah, so there's this concept. You can run it out of 2x2 with the motion to 3x1, but or you can just run out of base 3x1. It's post curl flat. The outside is a post, the inside is a curl, and the number three has a flat route. And if it depends, like if it's covered four, almost nine, almost every time you're gonna get that post ball safety coming down. So.
So that's your play. To Marcus Senior, do you have a play that you got to run that you just thought, be it at Syracuse or anywhere high school, was there a play or two that you just kind of close your eyes and you're like, man, every time we were in the huddle and they called this, I was like, all right, I got this.
Anytime I know I got single coverage, I want the ball. That's my favorite play. I just like to see single coverage.
So with that being said, to Marcus Jr., DB, wide receiver. So either covering somebody or trying to get away from that coverage. What can you say about if a school came to you and you love the school, you love the coaches, you love the opportunity, are you hoping that they lean on and say, we want you at wide receiver? Is it DB? Does it matter? Bring me into that.
It doesn't really matter. I really just want to get on the field as early as possible. So any way I can get on the field, that's more what I'm worried about.
What would you say are your best attributes at wide receiver? And then second to that, what are the things you want to work on the most at that position? So what do you do best, and what's the area that you're circling right now when it comes to wide receiver?
Okay, so I think what I do best is just basically my prep for the game. Like I think like I already won the battle, like in my head. So when I go out there, it's really just going back to all the training. I think the second thing I do the best is just route running. Like I know how to really like break down the DB. I know how to get him to open his hips, get him to flip his hips, and then be able to come out of the break. Um, and I think one of my best attributes is also like tracking down the deep ball. I think I do that very well, whether I have to catch over his shoulder, adjust to it, catch it at the highest point, or catch it at the lowest point.
So
One thing I really want to work on is running after the catch. Just turning and burning.
So for you, it's after that ball comes in, having that top speed not take too long.
Exactly. I think I do a great job at it, but if we're talking about things I can do better, like we're really getting into like the intricate parts of it, I would definitely say that.
Okay. Then when we flip to DB, what would you say are the best attributes you have at that position defensively? And then what area you're kind of honing in on right now as you continue to train?
I think the best thing about me is understanding like what the offense is trying to accomplish. So when I'm out there, like if I see a certain formation, I'm knowing like where the ball might go. And I think the thing that makes me a great DB is uh, just being able to break down the offense and just understanding it. Um, and just being a ball hawk. I think like when I'm out there at DB, I know I'm gonna be around the ball. Like whether it's a run play or the ball's in the air, I'm gonna be around the ball. And then one thing I can work on is I don't really know.
Well, I
I
mean,
think
go ahead. What were you going to say?
yeah, just getting more reps.
Well, and I think obviously being a defensive back, wide receiver, doing both, you're understanding the other side, right? The more you play DB, the more you're understanding an offense, so that when you're a wide receiver, you know how to pick apart a defense. And then when you're playing wide receiver, you're looking at it from the DB's point of view, saying these are the tactics they might use against me. So by doing both, you're providing an opportunity to essentially be devil's advocate and to prepare yourself for the other side. So there's a lot to be said about that. To Marcus Sr., when you see your son out there on the offensive side and on the defensive side, are you seeing him essentially learn how to beat himself, so to speak? Are you seeing like that, okay, he picked that up from what he was seeing defensively and now he's using it?
Absolutely. Like I said, he's definitely a student of the game. I mean, everything all day, every day. If it's not schoolwork, it's how can I get better, or can we go to the field, or everything is football with him. So I definitely see the work that he puts in. I mean, my hat goes off to him for that. But yeah, I mean, it's just fun for me to see him out there flying around for the most part.
You never know what your children are going to do. When Marcus Jr. says, Dad, this is my dream too. I want to play football. I want to play in college. I want to dedicate myself to this. Bring me into when that moment happened and how you responded as a father when your son made his own choice about his own path.
I mean, it's just being a dad at that point. I mean, everything goes out the window. You just try to put your son in the best situation possible to be successful. And I never try to compare him to me or say I did this or that. All I tried to do is just put him in the best situation possible and help him any way I can for him to be successful.
Do you remember the moment where you had a conversation where it was like, "Hey, I think he's really going to do this full tilt"?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he got his first offer when he was a sophomore. And after saw him get that first offer, I'm like, yeah, here they come. I mean, and he started lifting weights, putting in the work, and then I think it was last summer he ran like a 4.48. I was like, yeah, he's definitely. I see it. I can see him running out of the tunnel, and I can see the future right now. So right now, it's just about staying healthy and getting better every day, being a good person, and all that.
To Marcus Jr., your dad just talked about getting stronger in the weight room. If anybody sees a picture of you, I think it's fair to say maybe you have 0.5% body fat. I have no idea at this point. So bring me into just your workout regimen and the muscles on muscles, because I respect that. And I respect the fact that you put yourself in a shape where if somebody is going to try and hit you, it's probably not going to feel that great.
Um, so I work out 4 times a week usually with my school. Um, I'm a lot stronger than I look, but it's just eating that food and just putting the weight on.
Yeah.
Um,
I will say to your credit, though, I mean, I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, I'd appreciate if my muscle had muscle. So I would
Yeah.
definitely say that to you. You hear your dad talk about that first offer that came in. Remind people, or some that may be watching and listening don't know that first offer that you had. Bring me into the school that was the first to offer you, and just remembering the moment where you were, how it happened, how you found out.
okay, so the first offer I got was Vanderbilt University. Um, so I actually found out when I was getting my hair done, and I had got a call from the coach, and he called me, and then he was just like, "We're gonna offer you." So that was like a surreal feeling, to go through that as a sophomore as early as I did, and then just that whole day, we were just all excited, and it was like a dream come true. And we had went out and ate steaks.
Well, I mean, for the first one, listen, the first offer is great no matter what. Vanderbilt, it's huge. Funny, the connection back to Syracuse, that Scott Schaefer's linebacker coach, Clark Lee, head coach of Vanderbilt now. So just fun.
Mm.
And he just won the Eddie Robinson Award, which I got to vote in for Coach of the Year, and well earned for Clark Lee. So these offers, when you got that first one from Vanderbilt, bring me into how recruiting kind of went from there. That's in your sophomore season. How did the other offers start to come in? Because I know that you've obviously had double digit offers at this point, but how did the rest of the road go as far as when the other offers started to trickle in?
Okay, so my second offer after getting the Vanderbilt offer came like more during this time, like the recruiting season. My second offer was Eastern Kentucky, and then a week later I got Charlotte, UNCC. So that happened, and then I was getting looks from like really big schools, your NC States, your Virginias, and all that. Um, and then like a lot of schools like shied away because of my size. Um, so going into that junior year, I had a chip on my shoulder, and it didn't go the way I wanted it to. But I ended up coming out with two more offers, Richmond and Campbell, and Miami, Ohio. And we visited Miami, Ohio. We really liked it. They wanted me for DB, uh, and then we just went through the process with them. And then we visited Richmond, and they came down to Richmond or Miami, Ohio. And I had all the visits set up and everything, but there was this. We were talking about like me reclassing to 2027 to just get another year to just get better, and we ended up doing that instead of going to college. And I think it's been paying off for me very well. I had this, I obviously had the season I did this year.
Well, like you said, I mean, you decided to reclassify. What was everything that kind of went into that for you as you're going through your recruitment? You said some shy away. It puts a chip on your shoulder. You work your tail off. You get more offers that come through, but then ultimately you decide, hey, I'm going to reclassify. I'm gonna come out and go into college at 2027. Bring me into what ultimately made that decision for you, and just what you feel hindsight 2020 about making the decision to go to the 2027 incoming class.
Okay, so there was a period where like I didn't really know like what was gonna happen in the future. So we talked about it. Reclassing was always an option, but it ultimately came down to like I would talk to my dad. He wants me to have like a dominant season. Like that was his whole thing. He wants me to dominate high school before I go to the next level. And that was like one thing he harped on, and just being able to get a year to just get more mature, more film, more reps, gain weight, just things like that that would really help me in the future for college. So it was more just getting prepared for college than anything.
And when you look back on the reclassifying decision, hindsight 2020, do you feel in your gut like, hey, this was the right decision?
Oh yeah, for sure. Every day. So at the new school, I'm meeting a lot of great people. I've had a lot of love at my new school and just things like that, and just even off the field with football, like I just meeting a whole bunch of great people. So making those connections and everything like that is very important to me.
Marcus Senior, the reclassifying, the 2027, just your thoughts on that, seeing your son at a new school, and share with everybody too, where he's at right now, and just kind of why you felt like this would be a good move.
I just thought, like he said, I just thought I wanted to see him have 1,000-yard season, which he did, and just dominate and get better. You know what I mean? Make some of the plays that he didn't make the year before. I wanted to see him make those plays. I wanted to be better at being a leader. You know what I mean? Bring the other kids up with him, and he did. He showed me everything that I wanted to see. So I look forward to seeing him go to school in December next year. So.
Yeah, and being at Cannon, to Marcus Jr., you said you've had a great experience. There's been a lot of good things that have come from it. What is it about the school that you feel like is bringing out the best in you?
Obviously, like we have a great coaching staff. They have a very good track record of winning, putting people in college and things like that. Also, when it comes to all the resources we have a lot of resources that you wouldn't get at other schools. Where like we have a indoor facility, we have a D1 college weight room, judge machines, anything you can think of to have in high school. We have a lunch that's crazy. Like I'm talking about like steaks for lunch, like things like that, like anything you could think of. There's like different stations, just all the resources, and then the people in the building are like very special. Like I couldn't ask for anybody better to help me, through my journey. whether it's picking a college, whether it's getting my schoolwork done, or just making those connections outside of football and throughout just for life.
Well, and for you, Marcus Senior, I mean, to look at Cannon School in Concord, North Carolina, what can you say about what you saw in the school and why you felt like, hey, this specifically in the classroom and on the field is a good fit for my son. This is a good place to be, and just what it was that really called to you when it came to Cannon.
I mean, it's kind of like, I went to CBA, so it's kind of reminds me of CBA, the environment and all the people there and the support system you have. They got a good coaching staff. They got young guys, so they still get out there with the players. They work out with them. So it's just something that I think was a good decision for me and my son and my family and everything. So.
Yeah, and you talked about going to CBA. I don't know if you could see, but right over my shoulder, I asked them because I was with them for 2021, 2023. And so I said after 2023, I was like, so when do I get a ring? And Casey Brown and I are close, and the head coach, I'm close with a bunch of the staff, and obviously Bruce Williams and Brian Bruno and Kyle Robinson and so on and so forth. And so Casey said, he was like, we win the next one, you're getting a ring. So in 2024, they kept their word. And if you look at it, it says Tortora on the side. It says DT. Okay. And so I actually got my state title CBA Super Bowl looking ring right now. So I gotta stick with you, Marcus, on this. Since you went to CBA, I went to CBA. Never thought I'd get a ring for football, but they told me when I was there, Brandon McInerney, that was in my class, he was like, man, he's like, I see you out there and there's things that you do, and he's like, you're scrappy, and he's like, I like the moves, like you could be a running back. And he went to Coach Casmeno, and I guess Coach Casmeno said to tell me to put on 100 pounds, and I went like that, and I went like this. I went, where is it gonna go? And I remember interviewing Maurice Jones-Drew in Jacksonville, and we're about the same height. I'm like a hair taller than Maurice, and we're looking at each other almost eye to eye. And I went, oh, I would have looked like a tombstone, because that's how his body, I mean, like he's agile and light on his feet, but he was built like that. But I just think back to those moments about like, yeah, you can play, just gain 100 pounds. So bring me into you playing at CBA, what you took away from it, and just what it meant to you to rep CNY, which doesn't always get the love.
Right. I mean, it's just, like I said, that experience I had at CBA, I mean, I would do it all over again. Me and some of my friends I'm still friends with to this day. Just being able to go back home and just feel like I'm at home with CBA. I still talk to some of my coaches from up there. It's just like a family atmosphere. So, I mean, that's priceless right there.
And I mean, being able to represent your home community, that's not something that has happened a lot in central and upstate New York when it comes to the Syracuse Orange, because there were coaches that came through over a decade of time that did not recruit locally. So Boston College recruits central and upstate New York extremely well. And then there's places like UConn, there's places like Rutgers, the Big Ten coming through with the Wisconsins and the Indianas. Stevie Scott went to Indiana. So when you look at Syracuse returning to that and returning to looking at a Marcus Sales, what does that mean to you?
I mean, that's huge, man. I mean, I don't see how you can't recruit your backyard if you got the players. I mean, me being down here, I get to see a lot of different players and, see a lot of stuff down here. So I think we still can compete with a lot of the players down here. We just got a lot more opportunity in the South because we get a chance to play football more often. They got weight room classes that you can lift during the day, and you know what I'm saying? So I just think it's just a lot more opportunity in the South when it comes down to just taking reps and getting better at the sport.
To Marcus Jr., has your dad said anything to you like, hey, I know the offer hasn't come through yet from Syracuse, but just keep a little eye out? I think you did a 7-on-7 when it came to Syracuse. So what was the experience like doing the 7-on-7 with the Orange? And is that ever in the back of your mind to say like, yeah, that was Dad's hometown, he played for his home city, We obviously live down in North Carolina, but is there an interest to be open-minded to your dad's alma mater?
Oh yeah, for sure. We've definitely had a lot of conversations about it. You know, I've always, wanted to see myself in that jersey, but it is still in the works. It's in the process. When I did come down for the 7-on-7, I was getting a lot of oohs and ahs from even just the players and the coaches. So I did my thing when I was there. That's all I can ask for.
Well, and you said that you've envisioned yourself there. So if Syracuse were to offer you, does that hold a certain weight to you? Of like, hey, I've pictured myself in orange and blue like my dad.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just seeing I was a baby when my dad played for Syracuse, so just seeing him would be like a full circle moment. I know it definitely will be for him. And then just being able to represent like our hometown. That's like a surreal feeling. That's second to none.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, we look at these numbers to Marcus Sr. here. Your son this past season, as your junior season wrapped up, 69 catches, 1,131 yards, 18 touchdowns, all purpose, almost 2,000 yards, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 21 tackles to Marcus Sr. Beyond, with those numbers, but also beyond those numbers, how would you describe your son right now to a college scout that's saying, why Marcus Jr.?
I mean, you're going to get what you want once you look for in a player. A lot of coaches look for coachability, you know what I mean? Dedication. He has a 3.9 in the classroom also. So, I mean, he's going to do it on and off the field, which is what coaches look for. So, I think you're going to get an all-around player if you get Marcus Sells Jr.
And I'm looking at some of these schools and coaches that I know and programs that I know very well, like East Carolina and UTSA. East Carolina, no big deal. They had back-to-back receivers that were that when they left college were leading the college stat book for most receiving yards in a career. So there's some history of that with East Carolina. UTSA has done some good things as well over time. So Marcus Jr., for you, when we look at some of these schools, I know Kent State, Western Kentucky, I'm looking at some of these schools that have offered you already. Does anything stick out? Have you done some historical background, like looking at the strength of East Carolina's wide receiver units over time? Hey, what can you say about the offers you've gotten, and if you've done a little bit of research?
Oh yeah, research is the most important thing when you want to pick a school. So I've done a lot of extensive research. Just about like who's came out of there, and just the coaches like their product pretty much. Like seeing what like how they can help me become a better player and who they developed and things like that. So when it comes to like schools recruiting me, I definitely look at that stuff. Just seeing where I can fit in the best and
Well,
pick the right school.
before we jump into rapid fire, where we can each put each other on the hot seat, I want to stay with Junior here for a second. What are you looking for beyond football when you're looking at choosing a school? What are those bullet points that you say this school, besides football, has to have these things for me to grow me as a young man, as a young adult, as somebody who is going to have life after football? What are some of those things you look for?
I look for just a community, somewhere I can come back and see myself like years later and still feel like I'm at home. When it comes to like, I don't really have any specific things where I'm just like, I wouldn't go to this school because of this. The only thing I can really think of is, I can't even really think of anything. Just being at home, like feeling like I'm at home outside of football. Like I said, just being able to come back years later and still feel like I'm at home.
When you talk about coming back years later, the transfer portal has got guys 4 schools 4 years, 5 schools 4 years, 7 schools in 3-4 years. Do you want to find a place where you're like, hey, this is going to be my alma mater. I'm going to be here. This is going to be a home. I can go back here, because the question becomes, if you go to 4 schools in 4 years, what's your alma mater? Do you envision yourself trying to find the place and then staying in that place?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the goal. I want to pick the best school that has like had a record of, players staying, coaches staying, things like that, just finding a home. The portal now is definitely crazy. It helps a lot of people, but it also like destroys a lot of people's careers. Obviously these people just jumping from school to school to school and then getting all these years back. We have 7-year seniors and things like that. But yeah, I want to find a school where I can call it my alma mater and, feel like I'm at home.
To Marcus Sr., this obviously wasn't the system when you were in school. Name, image, and likeness, providing an opportunity for student athletes to make money, not a bad thing. There's not a lot of parameters around it right now. Transfer portal, getting out of a bad situation, a coach lies to you, coach leaves. There are reasons to jump in the portal. But now we essentially have a bunch of wild horses trying to get them back into the barn every night, but there's no fence. How do you see the world that your son is living in, because it's far different than your college football experience? How do you navigate with your son through a time that seems more individualistic than team?
Really, it's just about taking as many visits as you can, building a relationship with the coaches, and just doing your research, trying to take the official visits, getting to know the players, and not just making it for the money. You understand? But for me, my thing for my son is just being in the right spot where I can get to him if I have to get to him, where I can trust the coaches to raise him up to be a good young man. You know what I mean? Make him accountable.
Yeah.
And all that good stuff. So it's really not about the NIL for us. I just really want him to get a good education.
How amazing is it for you? You heard your son say, hey, when my dad was playing, I was a baby. How incredibly surreal is it now seeing him not that far away from paving his own path and stepping onto a college football field?
It's kind of nerve-wracking. I just try to prepare him to be ready and know what to expect at the next level. I get a lot of calls from my old teammates, and they're like, man, I remember when he was a baby, you used to bring him in the locker room and everything. So it's kind of pretty cool. Some of my friends that I play with, they keep up with him. You know what I mean? They call, and I think that's pretty cool.
Over 130 receptions for Marcus Sales Sr. at Syracuse. Almost 2,000 yards receiving, 16 total touchdowns. And don't let the man fool you, he had 1 carry. He did run the ball one time. So let's play some rapid fire here with Marcus Sales Sr. and Jr. on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. And I am honored and privileged. I wanted to do this a while back, and I got a message from Marcus Sales Sr., and he said, we're finally ready. And that's all I needed to hear. So let's play some rapid fire. We're going to go round robin. We're all going to get to ask each other a question. So I will ask Marcus Jr., who will ask his father, who will ask me, and then we'll go back around. So to Marcus, and it can be any topic, doesn't have to be football, it can be music, movies, TV, family, whatever we want it to be. So to Marcus Jr., if you took over my show and it was Wake Up Call with Marcus Sales Jr. tomorrow morning, what 3 guests, doesn't have to be football, could be anything, what 3 people would you have on the show as guests, and tell me why you picked them?
J. Cole.
Okay.
My grandfather and my little sister.
Okay. I hear your little sister. She's making herself famous during this interview here. So,
Yeah.
great. So tell me why you picked J. Cole, grandpa, and your little sis?
J. Cole, like I kind of he's my favorite rapper. I love J. Cole, like the way he carries himself. A lot of people want to be like, showing off and, things like that. I'm not really that type of person. And, he's like basically like what I look for in like a great rapper. So,
Okay.
and then my grandfather, he'll give you the best interview ever. He'll like everything he's gonna say is gonna be hilarious. He's he'll just give you a great interview and have the fans engaged. And then my little sister, you never know what she's gonna say, you know, and she's just very funny. Like she's starting to have a personality. So
I love the fact that when you said she's really funny, she started laughing. So
yeah,
I feel like she's already a ham for the radio and TV world. So the fact that she can respond on cue, and she doesn't know it's coming, that shows she's got a personality that's ready for the moment. What's Grandpa's name?
Michael Sells.
So shout out to Michael and to grandparents in general. Mine are up in heaven, and I'll tell you this, Marcus. I know you both know this, but I'm going to tell you this to Sales Junior and Senior. If you have that opportunity to be around grandparents, I'm telling you this right now. Hug them, give them a kiss on the cheek, call them, do stuff with them. You will never regret the amount of time that you spend with them. And if you have ones that love you as deeply as it seems like you do and that you have fun with, just make sure you make as many memories as you possibly can, no matter how tired you are or what's going on or what you're doing and this and that. Never, ever forget to make plans with your grandparents. So to Marcus Jr., can you promise me that you're going to make sure you spend some time with them?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I love spending time with my grandparents.
Awesome. What's your little sister's name?
Zoe.
Zoe. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out to Miss Zoe. And I look forward to having her on the show because I already know that personality. If it's there now, then it's going to be there. And probably the next time we talk. So, all right, Marcus Jr., you get to ask your dad a question. What do you want to ask him?
Who is your favorite coach or teammate at Syracuse?
My favorite coach was probably Rob Moore and maybe Tyrone Wheatley. And my favorite teammate, it's got to be probably Alec Lemon. That was my road dog. And probably it's Antoine Bailey. Those two right there, those are my boys.
I know all of those names and all of those people, and I second all of those things. All right, Marcus Sales Senior, you get to ask me a question. What do you got?
So who would you like to interview on your podcast in the near future that you haven't gotten on there?
Well, I caught a lot of flack over the years, but also got a lot of love for saying that Michael Jordan is the greatest ever. So I'd like to sit with Michael and just talk with him about the NBA back then. He didn't buy teammates. He didn't talk about himself ad nauseum. And the thing is, some people are subject to, this is who I grew up with and this is all I know. Well, I've watched Michael Jordan and I've watched LeBron James and I've watched Kobe Bryant, and Michael's the greatest. And I think that saying Michael or LeBron disrespects Kobe. I also think it disrespects Bill Russell. And I feel like most people have agreed with me that LeBron is not the greatest ever. Talented, like physical specimen, extremely strong, a giant on the floor and somebody who can take over a game and obviously do a lot of things, but he's not Michael Jordan. And to me, Michael's the greatest. And when they say why, I say, well, I watched a post game where LeBron James talked about himself for 15 minutes. I've watched, and I don't think Jordan, I feel like Jordan would talk about his teammates at times. And so I think there's something about that. I always say if LeBron's the greatest, why does he wear Jordan's number and why did he do Space Jam 2? So, but I feel like people that love LeBron want to like fight about it where I'm not saying LeBron's a bad player. I also look at character. And I think both of them, have an ego, right? But it's I saw LeBron walk off a court with 4 minutes left in the game because his team was losing. Yeah. And I would never want my son or daughter to emulate that. So it's hard for me to give the nod to LeBron, but I respect him. And I'd want to just sit with Michael, and I don't want to talk about LeBron with Michael. I would just want to talk about Michael beyond the game. And I know people that cross paths with him. I know people that were working on doing a shoe deal with him before he signed his deal. So I can come at him from an angle where we can go back to a history that a lot of people may not know about that's not in the movie. So, yeah, I think Jordan for sure would be the multi-layered conversation, but no disrespect to Kobe or LeBron in saying that. My question back to you, Marcus Sr. What is your single greatest moment on the football field and your single greatest moment off the football field so far?
On the football field, just being able to have the opportunity to play in all those stadiums that we played in and playing those big games that we played in, Penn State, Notre Dame, just being able to just have that, just being able to just be in those stadiums and be around the players that we was around, it was life-changing for me. And I want my son to go through the same thing. And off the field, probably just going through this process with my son. It's so exciting. I mean, with everything changing schools, coaches leaving schools, it's like I feel like I'm going through the whole process again. And right now I'm just trying to be a good guidance for him. And hopefully we make the right decision when it's time for him.
Well, put God first, in my opinion, and keep loving on each other. Pray about it, sit with it, you'll make the right decision. Marcus
Right.
Sr., what's your question for your son?
Who would you compare yourself to in college football right now?
I would say, I don't know if you know who this is or not, but I would say Cameron Perry.
Okay.
He was a receiver from Miami, Ohio. I think that we have a very similar game.
What is it about Cameron Perry's game at Miami of Ohio that sticks out to you? Why do you think you're so similar?
He's a very good route runner. Like, he sets up defenders very well. We have a similar body type. And we're both really good at tracking the deep ball. That's one thing he does a great job at, and why he was successful and able to transfer up to Colorado. And I think that I have a lot of those same traits. And
all right, Cameron Perry, I like it. You get the final question, Marcus Jr. What do you got for me?
what is your favorite movie and why?
Oh, man, I love movies, and I got screenwriting in my blood too. So, my favorite movie of all time. Oh, man, it's got to be something funny. I would say. Oh, man. It's Liar, Liar. It's a tie between Liar, Liar, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Wedding Crashers. Because Robin Williams is my favorite comedian of all time. And I think Vince Vaughn and I both have running stream of consciousness. And then Jim Carrey, I can recite Liar, Liar word for word every scene for whatever reason. And so I would have to say that. Actually, I took my physics final that kept me from having to take the Regents in New York at CBA. And so Marcus Sales Sr. can appreciate this. I was nervous to take the test, went into the classroom, sat at my seat, and as soon as I put the pencil to the paper and he said go, the teacher said go, my brain started playing the opening credits to Liar Liar, played the entire movie in my head to calm me down. And when I was finishing up the test, the end credits were rolling. To this day, I don't remember anything about the test, but I remember that Liar Liar played in my head from beginning to end, and I got such a good grade on it, I didn't have to take the Regents. So I want to thank Jim Carrey. So with that being said, this has been a treat and a pleasure for me. I hope we get to do it again many more times, because to Marcus Jr., I'll be following you through your recruitment. Would love to have you back on the show. To Marcus Sr., who's been on the show, you know I appreciate you tremendously. And my favorite part of today in being able to have father and son together in this Wake Up Call spotlight inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios is the fact that you can see on the screen the love and the relationship and the bond that you both have just by reactions, smiles, and, you know, different questions that have happened. So I would say beyond everything else, keep that relationship, make sure it's strong. And Marcus, I love seeing how you love your son. And to Marcus Jr., I love how you talk about and interact with your dad. And that's the greatest gift that I got from today's episode. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Are you done?